Welcome back to D&D A through Z, where we are painting every monster from the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition monster manual. Some models are 3D printed and some are bought, like in a blister pack. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's paint something wicked. Before the coming of the gods, Aboleths lurked in the primordial oceans and underground lakes. They reached out with their minds and seized control of the burgeoning life forms of the mortal realm, making those creatures their slaves. Their dominance made them like gods. Then the true gods appeared, smashing the Aboleth's empire and freeing their slaves. Aboleths have never forgotten. Aboleths have flawless memories. They pass on their knowledge and experience from generation to generation. Thus, the injury of their defeat by the gods remains perfectly preserved in their minds. Aboleth's minds are treasure troves of ancient lore, recalling moments from prehistory with perfect clarity. They plot patiently and intricately across eons. Few creatures can conceive of the extent of an Aboleth's plan. Aboleths dwell in watery environments, including ocean abysses, deep lakes, and the elemental plane of water. In these domains and the lands that adjoin them, Aboleths are like gods, demanding worship and obedience from their subjects. When they consume other creatures, Aboleths add the knowledge and experience of their prey to their eternal memories. Aboleths use their telepathic powers to read the minds of creatures and know their desires, and Aboleth uses this knowledge to gain a creature's loyalty, promising to fulfill such wants in exchange for obedience. Within its lair, the Aboleth can further use its powers to override senses, granting creatures, such as its followers, the illusion of promised rewards. The Aboleth's fall from power is written in stark clarity on their flawless memories, for Aboleths never truly die. If an Aboleth's body is destroyed, its spirit returns to the elemental plane of water, where a new body coalesces for it over days or months. Ultimately, Aboleths dream of overthrowing the gods and regaining control of the world. Aboleths have had untold eons to plot and to prepare their plans for perfect execution. An Aboleth's lair is in subterranean lakes or the rocky depths of the ocean, often surrounded by the ruins of an ancient fallen Aboleth city. An Aboleth spends most of its existence underwater, surfacing occasionally to treat with visitors or deranged worshippers. When fighting inside its lair, an Aboleth can invoke the ambient magic to take lair actions. On initiative count 20, the Aboleth takes a lair action to cause one of the following effects. The Aboleth casts Phantasmal Force, no components required, on any number of creatures it can see within 60 feet of it. While maintaining concentration on this effect, the Aboleth can't take other lair actions. If the target succeeds on the saving throw, or if the effect ends for it, the target is immune to the Aboleth's Phantasmal Force lair action for the next 24 hours, although such a creature can choose to be affected. Pools of water within 90 feet of the Aboleth surge outward in a grasping tide. Any creature on the ground within 20 feet of such a pool must succeed on a DC 14 strength saving throw, or be pulled up to 20 feet into the water and knocked prone. The Aboleth can't use this lair action again until it has used a different one. Water in the Aboleth's lair magically becomes a conduit for the creature's rage. The Aboleth can target any number of creatures it can see in such water within 90 feet of it. A target must succeed on a DC 14 Wisdom saving throw or take 7 psychic damage. The Aboleth can't use this lair action again until it has used a different one. So lair actions are an interesting part of Dungeons & Dragons. Basically, these ultra-powerful creatures, places that they live are actually magical in and of themselves, and the monster can interact with their environment in ways that normal creatures can't interact with their environments. Similar to dragons, Aboleths have regional effects surrounding where they live. The region containing an Aboleth's lair is warped by the creature's presence, which creates one or more of the following effects. Obviously, these can be chosen by the Dungeon Master. I recommend scaling them depending on, the age and difficulty of this particular Aboleth that you're using. Underground surfaces within 1 mile of the Aboleth's lair are slimy and wet and are difficult terrain. Water sources within 1 mile of the lair are supernaturally foul. Enemies of the Aboleth that drink such water vomit it within minutes. So this can often be an early warning sign that there is an Aboleth around. If everybody's getting sick in town, all of a sudden, the water is oftentimes the first suspect. And if your players get to that point, it might be interesting to have, maybe there's somebody in town that's not getting sick, because it specifically says Aboleth's enemies, right? So maybe the mayor of the town or the sheriff or whoever, somebody who's in charge, isn't getting sick. Maybe they have fallen under an Aboleth spell. As an action, the Aboleth can create an illusory image of itself within 1 mile of the lair. The copy can appear at any location the Aboleth has seen before, or in any location a creature charmed by the Aboleth can currently see. Once created, the image lasts for as long as the Aboleth maintains concentration, as if concentrating on a spell. Although the image is intangible, it looks, sounds, and can move like the Aboleth. The Aboleth can sense, speak, and use telepathy from the image's position as if present at that position. If the image takes any damage, it disappears. Alright, so let's talk about the Aboleth from the perspective of the Dungeon Master. The Aboleth is an ancient and powerful enemy. They shine when used as the main villain for a short campaign. Here are a few ideas just to help you use them in your next campaign. One of the defining features of an Aboleth is its ability to create permanent thralls via mind control. The Aboleth ability Enslave can be done 3 times per day. It has telepathy up to 120 feet, so it will need existing thralls to bring new victims within range, especially if the Aboleth resides in the deep ocean or a massive lake. The Aboleth's main goal is to remove the gods and get revenge on them for usurping the Aboleth's dominion over the material plane. Any use of the enslavement ability will be to serve this purpose. Now, the enslave ability does call for a wisdom saving throw, so Celestials and their servants are unlikely to fall to an Aboleth in this way, although gaining control of a Celestial with Enslave would be a major boost to the Aboleth's forces. Let's explore this idea a little bit further. So as a Dungeon Master, you can initially just say, okay, this Aboleth has a Deva under its control. You don't need the specifics, but if you want to come up with a story as to how that happened, great. Sounds like fun, knock yourself out. Now the Aboleth has control over a powerful creature that can change shape. The Deva can polymorph itself into any creature with a challenge rating equal to or less than its own. This includes an Aboleth. Now, because Enslave is not a legendary action or lair action, the Devalith can now cast Enslave as well on behalf of the original Aboleth. This gives them 6 enslavements per day. As written, the Deva would get a new saving throw if it's more than a mile away from the Aboleth, or if the Deva takes any damage. So it's unlikely the original Aboleth would risk sending it more than a mile away or putting it in a situation where it could take damage. The Aboleth knows the chance of keeping control over Celestial is unlikely, and requires every precaution. Now, there's nothing in the rules that says the Deva won't retain all of its memories of what it's done under control of the Aboleth, and depending on how you want to continue the campaign after the Aboleth has been defeated, this could have a couple of different repercussions. So, the party has schemed and battled and finally overcome the Aboleth, releasing the Deva from its enslavement, or the party fought the enslaved Deva and it made its saving throw, no longer under the Aboleth's control. Deva is naturally lawful good. What would the lawful consequences of their actions be? Would they be able to claim mind control doesn't count? I'm of the opinion that this series of events would have a huge impact on the conscience of the Deva, and they would likely become a fallen angel as a result. Upgrade them to a Planetar with some extra psychic powers, and you have your next villain. So you can continue your game past level 10, as a Planetar with some extra psychic abilities would make a great villain for the next 5 levels or so of play. I made up a stat block for such a fallen angel that will be in the description below, so check that out if it's something that you want to use. I've also got a couple ideas for character hooks, and because Aboleths have such long memories, that means they can come after someone who wronged them generations later. So for example, one of your players has a bit of knowledge that they're searching for. This is a warning from their great-great-grandparent, warning of the Aboleth that they destroyed and that will come back for revenge one day. So this gives that player something that ties them into the campaign, gives them a reason to be wary of some sort of entity, and it would be probably best if they didn't know right from the beginning that it was an Aboleth that they're worried about, but have it revealed as time goes on. Another great option is going to be a player that is descended from a humanoid that was corrupted by an Aboleth so completely that the Aboleth considered any mortal born to that bloodline its own descendant. This would be a great hook for a warlock or a sorcerer as a way for them to get their powers. Again, they may not even know that it's an Aboleth right in the beginning. Or maybe they do, especially in the case of a sorcerer. Like maybe there's a family legend of an Aboleth that granted them powers, and this is the first descendant in a long line that those powers have manifested. Or maybe everyone in their family has these powers and they protect this Aboleth, and that can create some conflict. A couple of races that would be good to use with some sort of Aboleth related background, of course, are going to be water genasi, humans, ones that live on the coast or around oceans, fishermen, sailors, that sort of thing. Yuan-Ti would be great for like an Aboleth that lives in a jungle river, or like a massive jungle river, think like the Amazon. And then a Triton, right, especially for a deep ocean Aboleth. Some classes that could work well for this type of campaign would be Ranger of the Coast, a College of Lore Bard, right? So maybe the Bard has read a lot about Aboleths or about deep sea monsters in general. A Coast or Swamp Druid, and then again, Sorcerer or Warlock, and a couple of easy backgrounds to use would be Researcher and Sailor. Those are just a few ideas that you can use. That does it for this entry of D&D A through Z. I hope you found it helpful. Comment below on your experiences with this week's monster. As always, thanks for being here. Now go out and paint something wicked.